like I was saying, I mean, for us here in Texas, right now it's and for some reason, I mean, I know the rest of the world is alive and going, and I'm thinking for some reason I didn't think anybody else was suffering from allergies, but you're saying you got family out there that's suffering.
Yeah, my mom and dad are both sneezing, and lots of Kleenex flying. So I thankfully I don't have that problem, so I don't understand it. But I mean, I'm sure if I was sneezing 24/7, I would be upset too, and red faced and clogged up nose and everything. But yeah, it's pollen is it's around.
Yeah, you see, for us over here, I know the last week it was cedar, and cedar eats me up, man. And I know they had somebody was saying mold was high the other day, and I'm like, man, all of them. I don't know. As I got older, I'll say this. I worked at the post office. I was a letter carrier, and they moved me for a station like up north, and it was called Thousand Oaks Post Office, right? Well, I'm there and I'm coughing, I'm sneezing, I'm taking meds, and one of the letter carriers is like, "Hey, man, are you sick?" And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "I have a cold." And he said, "You don't have allergies?" And I said, "No, I don't think so." And he's like, "Are you sure? Because they don't call this place Thousand Oaks for nothing." He said, "There's a bunch of oak out here." And
Mm.
come to find out, like I was allergic to oak. I mean, where I grew up here in San Antonio, we didn't have that. But man, I was out there in the middle of like pollination and all that other stuff, man. But
Yeah, you got to watch out for your lungs that'll really hash you out and screw
oh
you up.
yeah, I was
They have valley fever and all sorts of stuff out here.
yeah. You see, and that's what's crazy because it's rare that I get sick, but allergies like that's my kryptonite. When I get it, I get it. But
Oh man.
all we can do is like you were saying, take some tea with honey, and I'm hopped on meds and taking nasal spray and all that other stuff. So I mean,
Ooh.
hoping goes away for a while, at least for a while. Because my thing is like last night I woke up at 1:30. I couldn't go back to bed. I wanted to sleep like at 4. Woke up at 5. Man, long night, long night.
Yeah. Well, I'm an
But then,
insomniac, so I know what it's like to have to wake up off and on and not sleep much. So
oh man, and let me ask you. I mean, with that, I mean, do you stay busy? Do you like write or do you work on something?
writing, yes, most of the time goofing around watching TV or playing on the internet, unfortunately. Yeah, my mind just won't shut off. I don't know why, but it won't shut off. And of course, it always waits until the middle of the night where I'm supposed to be asleep to start ramping up and going fast. So, yeah, I'll get ideas about writing or topics and I'll scribble. I'm the
Yeah.
little scribbler who'll be at Burger King and will write down notes on a napkin and
Oh,
swear
nice.
to God it's going to be a mega seller, and then I'll stick it in my pocket and forget it's there. So, but yeah, I'll write at
Man,
night. I'll write anywhere.
you see, my oldest used to draw a lot. She used to draw well, like very, very man. I got mind blowing. But I still kept a lot of her napkins. Like we go out to eat, and she would draw and stuff. And I'm like, man, you did this? Like it was like crazy because it was like good stuff. I mean, she had a
Yeah.
knife for it, and she didn't pursue it. As much as I was telling her, but it just. I mean, I have a lot of her drawings, a lot of her. She just sketch out of nowhere. She'd be bored, and she would but yeah, you never know. You might have something there. It might be the next bestseller folded up in a napkin in your pocket, man.
Yeah, because what people who read my books need to realize is I originally went to college and I got my degree in digital animation because I was going to do video games and special effects in movies.
Oh
So the
man.
books I write were actually the video game ideas I had. I did not, get the job after job after job like I thought I would. And so when Amazon started publishing books for, people at home, I thought, why not take the video game ideas I had, make them long form stories instead of something short, and publish them as individual books. And so that's where my books come from, is they were originally video game ideas.
Oh
And
man,
so,
I'm curious.
like the,
Have you
the first
ever?
book I had is called Blood Moon. It's
Right.
about werewolves and the FBI. The book
Oh,
I've got coming out now on Nightmare Press is going to be called The Continuance,
cool.
which is about a guy who gets into a car wreck and also he starts seeing things. And he ends up getting a job with a guy who's a undercover private eye, and they end up looking for a serial killer.
Oh damn.
And
Okay.
so, I mean, like I said, these were supposed to be video games, but now they're books. So I hope they entertain people.
Man, and I was gonna say like with Blood Moon because you wrote that in I guess in essence of a video game. I mean, for those that have read it, I mean, have they told you like, man, this is like? I mean, not to say it's like a video game, but I mean, did they kind of, out of
No, they all
curiosity?
said it was a great mystery, and they were not shocked. I shouldn't say that, but or surprised, but they were pleasantly surprised that it was my first inaugural book and that it did so well, because they figured, starting point, you've got nowhere to go but up.
Right.
But they were surprised that I, took off running with the first book. So now they're, pleasantly surprised to see what I come up with next. And unfortunately, it's taken a while for the second book to come out, because I think the publisher I'm at now is kind of a one-man band. He's kind of doing it by himself. And plus, there was a couple groups I was with before him that made lofty promises, but didn't follow through. And so that was kind of wasted time. And as you know, on the radio, dead air is dead air. And well, it's the same thing with publishing. When people say they're going to publish you and then they go through a couple hoops and then they fall off, you've wasted all that time. And so there's a couple of years where stuff should have been published, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And, there's not only that, but there was a third book I have, I shouldn't say out, but there was a publisher who said, yeah, let me see it, let me edit it, and then without me knowing it, he already put it out on Amazon.
Oh.
And so I'm trying to get that guy to take the book down because people are buying it. He hasn't signed me to a contract and he's not paying me.
Oh, man, that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that book has to be taken down, hopefully without getting a lawyer involved. Hopefully that happens soon, because I'd like to have that book transferred to where I'm at now at Nightmare Press and have them put it out. But yeah, do you remember that old saying when you were younger, when you're going into a field and you have to say later on, that field wasn't what I thought it was?
Yeah.
Publishing is not what I thought it was.
Oh, man. Okay.
I just figured it was this, this fun place where you write a nice book to entertain people. They put it out. You split your pay with Amazon, of course, because it's their paper and their, publishing house you're using. And then you and the publisher get to square up and share half and half. Come to find out, there's, like every industry, there's a lot of crooks out there, a lot of people that'll take advantage of you, and it's basically the Wild West.
Wow.
And it's really, really sad. But I mean, if you find a good place, like I believe I found with Nightmare Press, you find yourself a nice home where you can kind of nestle and build a nest and publish a bunch of books, you'll be happy, the bank account will be happy, and hopefully you'll have a fan base that'll be happy, and everybody gets what they want out of it.
No, but I mean, for sure, because, this is your art, the fact that you're writing and, that one company that's selling your book, I mean, that's just not good, but like you
And
said,
Amazon has been of no help.
no, that you see, and that's, I don't
That
know,
makes it worse.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm assuming you contacted that one publishing company and just basically, did you have to do like a cease and desist, or you just?
I'm going to have to, because they won't pick up my emails or phone calls or anything. They've basically just ignored and blocked me. So
I wonder, because I mean, if you have to go through a lawyer, then that's just going to cost more money out of pocket, right?
exactly, that's the catch and the rub, as they say.
Man, well, yeah. Hopefully they do good by it, man. Because if not, I mean, that's the thing with social media. If they don't, you can just, let people know, like, hey, don't go with these dudes, or don't mess with this company. And
I'm gonna have to, because I was raised to be the nice guy. Unfortunately, in business, you can't always be the nice guy. You have to be a little bit of, I don't know what I can and can't say on your show, but a little bit of an a-hole sometimes.
Yeah. No, and you do, that's the thing. I always tell people, I mean, when it comes to doing business, it has to stay business. Like, you can't be a friend about it. You can't, like I've worked with friends before on projects or on some, and I always tell them, like, hey, what do you want? What do you want to get paid? And they're like, oh, no, don't worry about it. And I'm like, no, man, I got to pay you, because this is a transaction, this business. You're helping me, and, you're going to get paid. And at least for me, I just feel more comfortable, because it's like, hey, once they get paid and they accept it, then, my hands are clean. They did what they're supposed to, and then they got compensated, But at the same time,
unfortunately, there has to be lines and communication back and forth, because if not, it just doesn't work, and people's friendships get ruined that way, or business, associates get ruined that way, and it's not fun from someone who's been there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like, even like I'm assuming with publishing, like the indie world, it's a small world, you know. That's,
Yeah.
we're all over the US. I mean, you know, there's indie filmmakers everywhere, of course, but when it comes to local or not even local, like people know each other, people talk, and it's like people, you know, they come in not doing good business, and everybody finds out quick. You know, it's
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
matter of just like, hey, be careful with this dude or be careful with this guy, and it's just like
And
once that happens,
it's really sad too because I told this guy, you know, I've been screwed over before. Please don't do this. Oh no, no, no. It's cool, man. I've been screwed over too, so I know how it feels. I mean,
oh,
totally playing me as far as I'm concerned. Now, I thought he had my best intentions, but you
yeah,
know, you live and you learn. Unfortunately, you have to get burnt, I guess, once in a while to learn.
damn. And is he selling his through Amazon as well?
Yeah,
Damn. I wonder. Yeah,
he's got Facebook page and everything.
yeah. You see, at that point, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's got to be some sort of legality because, of course, you know, I mean, there's no contract, then you know, it's no good. I mean, obviously, but yeah,
Yeah, because he
I hope
kept
that gets
telling me,
cleared up.
just wait. I'll send it to you. Just wait. Don't worry, don't worry. And, you know,
Yeah,
just letting it go, letting it go, letting it go, letting it go, and then finally. And the
yeah.
weird thing was, is it was September the 11th, an odd date. He
Oh man.
chose to stop talking to me, which I don't know if that was pre-planned or if that was a reason behind it or what his dealing was that September 11th would be the last day he would speak to me.
Yeah, that's kind of I don't know. That's kind of odd,
Creepy.
and that's one of those days. Like I always tell people, because like no matter where, like I look at the time and it's always 9/11. I don't
Uh,
know why. Like it's just it happened, but yeah, man. But hopefully, you know, that gets squared off, and you do get compensated, or for the most part, you get that book off and get it, you know, going through a reputable, you know, publishing company, of course, you
yeah.
know. And I'm impressed. I will say this because they have been sending me guests, and I've been keeping up with what they're doing, and I believe it's the husband and wife, of course, when it comes to getting things done. So yeah, you know, it's not a
Uh,
big production company, but you know, they are getting things done. You know, they have a lot
yeah.
of great writers on board, a lot of authors, you know, great people, and
And they're very, very nice people. I got nothing but great things to say about them.
no, no, for sure, man. But man, let me ask you, when it comes to writing, because of course, I mean, you know, the people at Nightmare Press, you know, they put this big old bio on you, and on you know, playing sports, on you know, doing you know, working at a drive-in theater. I think I read, and I'm
Oh,
thinking,
that was my
okay,
father.
oh, okay, yeah,
He worked on base during the day and at night he ran the drive-in.
oh, okay, and that's where you used to go to and hang out,
Yeah.
hang out at, huh?
As a little kid, I remember growing up seeing all the teenagers. So you'd see like one guy, one girl on a date drive in. They'd pay their ticket, they'd park, and all of a sudden the trunk would open up and like five kids would jump out of the trunk
Oh
because they got in free and
yeah,
they'd run off. And, you know, you couldn't catch them. But I figured as a kid, I always thought it was funny,
yeah, no,
you
yeah,
know. But yeah, my dad would be in there doing the reel to that, you know, back in the days when they do reel to reel. And
oh,
then, you know, the first half of the movie would be on the reels going backwards, and they'd be playing, you know,
yeah,
let's come out to the lobby and get a snack as the intermission. And then he'd have to put up the second reel
yeah.
to play the second part of the movie. Yeah, that he was that guy while everybody else was, you know, putting the speaker boxes in their windows or tuning the radio station in to hear the voices on the movie. Yeah, it was a fun time growing up as a kid at the drive-in theater, and then
Oh
you know
yeah,
knowing my dad works on base, which is the main you know job here in town
yeah.
at China Lake. You know, so if you know if you work on base, you kind of put your head up a little higher, and you know it was good times.
No, no, and I gotta ask you because I mean, being there at the theater, at the drive-in theater, I mean, do you recall like the movies that you? I mean, did he let you go and watch movies?
Oh yeah, that was part of the reason. That's another reason why I think I write what I write because I got exposed as a young age to movies I probably should not have
Oh
seen.
yeah, oh yeah,
I mean, if it wasn't disaster movies where you know something bad happens where people have to go from point A to point B to survive and you know people die halfway through the movie or you know slasher movies like you know the Friday the 13th movies where it's nothing but teenagers having sex and they get killed in the middle of having sex in the woods and some guy with a hockey mask you know slices them up and you know I probably shouldn't have been seeing that but I got exposed to it, so
man. And I was gonna
everything
say
in
too.
between.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, well, let me ask you this. I mean, did you start writing as a kid? I mean, was that when you started?
Yeah, like you're talking about earlier about drawing pictures and writing and poetry and music lyrics. I started doing that in grade school off and on because um, I wouldn't say I have ADD or HD. Yeah, I just concentration. If I get bored, my mind will flutter off and I'll start daydreaming. And I had a big problem with daydreaming in school. And teachers would always be calling in the house, telling my mother, he's kind of flighty. He's always daydreaming about it. And so, yeah, I'd be writing stuff down, whether it be short stories, poems, music lyrics, because I've always been into music because my mom plays drums, which
Oh,
then got me into playing drums. And then in college, I took, courses to play piano. So yeah, whether it be short form stories, poetry, music lyrics, just
damn.
a journal, anything. Yeah, I've been doodling since I've been a little kid. It helps. I don't want to say it helps me focus, but it's just I just get bored real easy with life,
No, no,
and
yeah,
it
I hear you. I always tell people I have idle hands, so I got to be doing something because if not, I start, you know, doing something quick. I get distracted. No ADD, nothing like that. But I mean, I do. I like to keep moving. I mean, you asked me
yeah.
earlier, man, you're always busy, and I was like, I am. I try to stay busy, and it's like,
Plus, a bad habit I have is living in the past. I always dwell on stuff that I know I can't fix. I can't go back in time and make it better, but it makes me angry. And so I'll sit there and I'll stew in it over and over and over again, and I'll get myself physically sick from being so upset and pissed. And so I found out it's better to work my anger out through art and crafts and
oh
writing
yeah,
to funnel that energy out in a good way instead of doing something stupid that might get me arrested or in
yeah.
trouble or
You
something.
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I know. I always There's this saying that I would always tell my kids when they're growing up, and I mean they're 22 and 25 now. But when they were in middle school, high school, I used to tell them, look, the opposite of depression is expression. So if you're
Yeah.
feeling depressed, if you're not feeling good, like express it, man. Go dance, go sing, go yell, do whatever. And it was one of those things that it surprised me because my youngest was already like a junior or senior, right, in high school, and she was like, "Hey, Dad, like." I told one of my friends what you used to tell us when we were kids about because he wasn't feeling good, and I told him, like, my dad used to tell us, the opposite of depression is expression, so express it, and that the friend was like, oh, well, your dad sounds like a hippie. My daughter was like, yeah, well, he's a cool hippie. And I was like, man, where'd you get hippie from, man? I said, come on, but it's good to know they're listening, and it's
Yeah.
true, man, because there's days like if I'm driving to work or if I'm driving back home and I'm just feeling it, man, and I'll yell it out. Like I'll start yelling like a maniac. I make sure nobody's around, but it's just like I do express it, and I just because if I come home, I don't want to bring like work home with me. I don't want to bring
Yeah.
drama or negative anything. It's like like I told my girl, I said, this is my controlled environment. This is my safe space. Like I got to make sure that this place is good, because I
Yeah.
want to come home. It's like if it wasn't, if I could do everything I do like this, I would definitely be home all the time. But I do travel. I do jump on projects, on films, and I like it, but I'm not big on crowds, so it's just kind of awkward.
Yeah, I don't like crowds either.
Yeah, yeah, man. I've always been like that. So it's like even like a lot of these conventions, they started popping up at malls like 2 3 years ago. Well, for me, I mean they've been going on for a while, but when I started going to the malls, I was like, man, like I would get nervous, in the beginning because I was like, I always felt like all eyes were on me, and it just made me uncomfortable, and I just
Yeah.
started forgetting about it and doing what I had to do, and get in, get out, and but yeah, man, it's fun. It's good to go get out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
man,
that's
let me
what
ask you. I was
go ahead.
gonna. Oh, before I forget, you mentioned that mom was a drummer. So was she in a band?
The high school band probably,
Oh,
but
okay, okay,
yeah.
that's
Because you
cool.
have to remember, I was born in '75, so she raised me on, the Monkees, the Beatles,
Yeah.
lots of groovy rock,
Oh
like
yeah,
that. So,
cool stuff.
yeah, she wasn't in a band, but she definitely brought me up with good music.
Nice, man. That's cool, man. I know I always tell people, I mean, growing up, my siblings were always older. They were like 10 years older than me. So as a kid in the 80s, like my oldest sister still had an afro and bell bottoms. Like she still listened to disco. my older brothers were all like metalheads, listening to AC/DC and Judas Priest, and
Yeah.
my, so we got a little bit of everything. 'Cause we listened to it. They'd have their 8 tracks, and they'd have their vinyl, and it's like, I grew up with a big variety of tastes when it comes to music. My dad, like, he was a big Western fan, so he'd listen to, like, bluegrass. He'd listen to, just old style Western, not even country, right? Western. That's how old I am. But
That would drive my mom crazy though, because like I said, she came from the peace, love,
yeah.
make love, not war, hippie generation. Whereas, being born in 75, I started getting into metal. And of course, my favorite band is Megadeth.
Oh,
And then,
nice.
of course, also being in high school around the gangster rap stuff, I got into NWA. So at times I'd be listening to NWA and they would be vocalizing the subject matter. They talk
Oh,
about women and the
yeah.
police and this.
Not
And
good.
then 5 minutes later, I'd be throwing on Megadeth, and my mother would tell me, look, I don't care if it's the long haired, Satanist with the heavy metal or the gangster rap with the women and the F the police. Just pick a side. I can't take both of them. Just pick one of them. And of course, I never could because I just like music.
Man, that's for me. I mean, I still skateboard, right? I mean, I try to. I don't do what I used to, of course, but I mean, I still go out there. But I grew up listening to, like, rap, like old school, like Kool D,
Yeah.
you know, early, like, I mean, breakdancing, right? Like back in the day. I mean, I was
Yeah.
born in '74, so it's like I'm right there with you. And so that's kind of what got me my love for like, for rap. It was like breakdancing, and after that, I just listened to what was next. But I never got into the gangster rap. I used to listen to it, but I wasn't like a big fan of it.
Yeah.
By middle school, I was listening to punk rock, and just it just
Yeah.
got
One
even
of my
more.
favorite groups is Bad Religion. So,
Oh yeah, dude, they're actually coming to Austin like later this year, man. So I'm looking forward
oh,
to it. I think it's them and Social Distortion. And Social Distortion been here before, but yeah, man, definitely. I was like, and then it goes back to like the not liking crowds. I'm kind of like, I want to go, but not
yeah.
really.
They
But
just dropped a new song last night on YouTube. It was really good. Social
oh
Distortion.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check
You
that
should look
out.
it up.
Yeah, because even I was talking to yesterday. I had a guest, musician, bassist, singer, but they were like in the Misfits tribute band, and he was like, yeah, he's telling me, he was older, than me, but he was telling me about the bands that he would listen to, and like the fact that he was actually buying like the Misfits vinyl when they was coming out, and I was like, damn, dude, that's dope, man. Like, they still got like 2 cassettes. I've got some vinyl, but just to get like the 7 inch and stuff like that. I mean, and it's just, I mean, I grew up in an era like where, like, the '80s. I mean, skateboarding and skate rock and hardcore, and just like, a little bit of everything. But I mean,
Yeah, I
rap.
was into the flatland freestyle with the BMX bikes,
Oh yeah.
like the GT and the dynos, and doing the vert up on the ramps and doing stuff like that, competitions. Of course, that was when I was younger and much smaller.
You see, I never. I used to ride a bike. I'll say that much. But I was a skateboarder, man. Like, I used to
Yeah.
ride my bike with my skateboard to get to places and then skateboard. But
Oh
I
yeah.
never got into tricks. My cousins were crazy about it. Doing that. They had like Diamondbacks and dynos and red. I had a red line. My brother had a Diamondback at one point, and they got stolen like that same week, man. Like,
Uh,
yeah, dude. And it was like all chrome black. I mean, it was
ooh.
beautiful, man. And it was just like, went to the store down the gas station at the end of the block, came back out, and boom, it was gone. I was
Hey,
like, man, but yeah,
sticky fingers.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like kids, man. But
Kids
yeah,
getting caught doing the wrong stuff, man.
yeah, yeah, dude. I
Mm.
mean, as long as they don't keep doing it when they get older, because that's when they start doing road time.
Yeah, you have to learn sooner or later. I mean, that's why I think I've pissed off a few people in my stories because, like I said, I have such a hard time getting over things. I have to change the names. But if you read my stories, certain people will see certain things kind of start to ring a little, how do I say, familiar,
Yeah,
because I'll put kind of real stuff into my stories, and certain people go, "Hey, wait a minute, that we need to talk."
yeah,
I said, "I changed the name. You can't sue me.
no, yeah,
You
exactly,
can't
man.
come after me."
Yeah,
Because
well,
they tell
that's
you to
what
write what you know about, right? So I mean, if I put in something that's real, that's my truth telling my story. I'll change the name so nobody will know it's you. but I'm going to put it in there.
Yeah.
And
No, yeah.
it's torqued a few people off, but you
Yeah.
shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, I mean, that's the thing about being an author, writing, or even podcasting. I mean, I don't think it hasn't happened in a while, but I've had like people like reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, man, I didn't appreciate, not because of me, but a guest." And they said
Yeah.
this and they said that, and I said, "Man," I said, "Bro," I said, "It was an episode. Like, I can't control that. Like, I didn't ask them like, hey, who did this or who did that." But what I did was I chopped up the video and I put it in like, you know, uh, like a minute, 2 minute sequence, and then I
Yeah.
ended up hiding that the whole episode. So but other than that, I'm like, man, I mean, it's like I tell people, like once I put it out there, it doesn't belong to me anymore. I say it belongs to everybody. So it's like it's out there. It's like people do with it whatever they want. I even have it open where you can download it from my YouTube, and people have done that. And I'm like, dude, that's fine. Like I mean, as long as it gets out there and you get something out of it, and I get something out of it. I mean, no problem, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a negative and spin it and make a positive out of it, and maybe it'll be a learning experience, or it won't. But it's up to
Yeah.
you what you take out of it.
I know there was a radio station here, and I used to laugh because they used to have women calling, and they used to tell them, like, they used to have deadbeat dads that wouldn't pay child support, and so the radio station would prank call them, and they would like put them through the ringer, man, roast them like, oh, you were out there on a date with so and so, but you can't pay, you can't buy your kid diapers, and at the end of every episode, they were like, we basically that they got permission from the man
Yeah,
that they paid him off. They paid him like $200 or whatever for permission to air it, and they would always like, and I hope they pay child support with those $200.
yeah.
But I was just like, man, look at that, bro. I mean, even then they're upset and they're pissed. They're who the hell you think you are, and yelling, and at the
It's like
end,
Jerry Springer.
yeah, exactly. So at the end, they're like, hey, well, we'll pay you $200 so we can air it. Oh, okay, send me the money. And I'm like, yeah, that's funny, but.
Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame and money.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I mean, shoot, but I mean
I
that's
mean, even for me, people are saying, why do you write books? I said, well, I guess when I die, there'll be something left behind that,
well,
it
yeah,
will be my legacy, or it'll be a pretty little scar left on humanity that either I was a good writer or I was a bad writer.
no, that's what I always tell people. I mean, when they ask me about filming, because when somebody had asked me out of the blue, and they were just like, man, why movies, and like right when they asked me, I was just like, you know what, man? I said, because I want to live forever. I said, I want to be in a movie that's just gonna keep going, and who knows who'll watch it from years from now, my great grandkids. I mean, who knows? I said,
Yeah.
but that's what I want to do. It. I mean, it's if I haven't gotten a lot of big roles. I still do a lot of background work. I still do indie films. I still, been jumping on commercials and whatnot. But it's just like I'm enjoying it. I'm getting paid for it. I'm like, why not?
Yeah, because I hope one of my books gets picked up for a TV show, maybe. I don't know. Putting that out there, anybody, please. Because I keep watching all these shows, late night TV on, ABC, NBC, CBS, and they always do the opening credits when they're showing the people's names, and they said based on novel such and such by author such and such. I figured if all these shows they're putting out nowadays are just TV shows based on novels,
Yeah.
I got a couple for you to look at.
Why not? I
I
mean,
mean, hell, we need a werewolf story on TV. Come on.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure
And
it's been done before, but I'll bring something fresh to it.
I was gonna say too, because I know. I mean, everybody's been saying Hollywood's been dead for years, and it's just all the big companies that were making movies are all like the streaming service. Yeah, Paramount,
Yeah.
you have Netflix, so all these they don't even go to the theater anymore. They go straight
Well,
to screening.
it's because I noticed like NBC, or not NBC, but ABC last night, they've put Scrubs back on TV. I mean, they couldn't come up with something new for that hour. They had to remake an old show. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Plus, now I heard they're going to start remaking the Rockford Files,
Oh man, come on. Yeah,
and
I
they're going
don't.
to put Jason Boreanaz as doing as playing Rockford. And I mean, all these old shows they're bringing back. I mean, when does it stop? I mean, I understand they were great shows for the time period, but I mean, you can't come up with something new and fresh,
No,
or
yeah,
put
because
a new spin on something.
I'm not a big fan of remakes. There's been a few that I've seen, and I'm like, okay, cool, just because the technology was there now, but for me, the fact that they were made on very low budget, on very like special effects, like very simple. Like that's what makes the movie for me even better, because I'm like, man, like that's they did that. They made that head explode and made it look like it was someone. It's just like something
Yeah.
about it. It's just kind of like, wow, man. But when they keep remaking movies just to make them, I'm like, yeah, man. At that point, like, why don't you just make a new movie? Call it something else. It's
Yeah.
like, why even name it after the movie I'm pretty sure it's because, like, if we see it, like, and we saw it when we were kids, we're gonna be like, oh man, I want to watch that because it's I saw it in the '80s or '90s or whatever. But
Yeah, and like now I see they've got Scream 7 coming out. I mean,
yeah,
how many times can you have one of the guys that you were friends with in high school be the killer that you didn't know he was, come and try and kill the same female over and over again? I mean, how many times are we going to do this?
yeah.
I
I know.
mean, find something new.
I was talking to my buddy about that because he's a big Scream fan, and I said, you know what, man? I said he's younger than me, but I was just like, man, for me, like, I mean, I stopped at two. Like part two, I said that was it. I saw part five, I think, or some one of them, but I was lost because I didn't see three or four, and I was just like, man, like, you know what, I'm not gonna go back and watch them. Like, it's not for me. I think they're milking the heck out of it. I mean, now they got those popcorn buckets everybody's going crazy over, and it's just money. They're just trying to get as much money as they
Yeah,
can. And,
that's
I mean,
why that's why I've kind of gotten tired with the Terminator and the Alien movies,
yeah,
because I was such a big fan of the first Terminator, and actually like the second Aliens with the Space Marines.
yeah.
But everything after the first two movies on both of those franchises, damn, oh man, come on, man,
You were like,
you,
no,
you're just killing it. And it's not even worth making a new one anymore.
no. At that point, no. Like, I wouldn't. Like, it's like, I know like a lot of them are going to like TV. I think they were talking about doing a TV series with like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I was like, like
Uh,
the only good thing I get about when they say, oh, they want to do this, they want to do that, and my first thought is like, oh man, I wonder if they're going to be casting, because I want to work, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not looking forward to it. If they make it
uh,
cool, and it's just like, for me, it's like, watching part one and two. Those are my go-tos. Like, I'm not a big fan of three and all the other ones, but
that's why I haven't seen it yet, but I keep hearing good things about that Predator Borderlands. They tried to
yeah,
spin it and do something different with the story, and people are noticing it.
yeah,
And it's supposedly taking off, and it's supposed to be pretty good, but I haven't seen it yet. But that's what I mean. You have to kind of tweak it every so often and make adjustments, like a baseball player,
yeah,
and get something different going and spice it up. Because if you don't, whether it doesn't matter if it's music, movies, or books, if you don't keep it pushing, you don't keep it spiced up. When I say spice, I don't mean like sex,
yeah,
but keep things kind of interesting. People are going to lose attention spans and go somewhere else.
yeah. No, I agree. I
And
mean, because
so
I
that's
know,
why my books, I try and keep the basic story of, a werewolf. Well, that's been done 10,000 times to, beating a dead horse. But if you add a little extra element to it and make a couple spins and a hook and a sledgehammer to the stomach at the end, you get kind of a good story that twists and winds and goes around, and you get a total package that's worth the money you've paid for, because people are, paying money for this. And with how, expensive stuff is nowadays, people don't want to just toss their money out for nothing.
no, you see, and that's especially at the theater, because the first thing people think of is like, okay, well, the tickets are $7, $8. Well, popcorn's like 10, 12, sodas are 10. And it's like, okay, well, shoot, it's like a $50, plus per person, that's a, I mean, I get it, but I'm like, man, that's a lot, like, I
Yeah.
know.
Plus, you're in the big city, so it's even more than it is here in a small city.
No, yeah, yeah, because I mean, I get it. And like, we have like our evening date every once in a, like, one day out of the week, we'll go and have dinner or go do something, and and that's fine. But it's like, I always think about the people that do this every day, and I'm like, man, where the hell are they getting this money from, bro? Are they just charging everything or what? Because it's expensive, man. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
broke, but I'm not like
Living
throwing money
paycheck to
away.
paycheck sometimes,
Yeah, yeah, and it's just,
especially if you have to pay for parking on top of the movie and snacks.
oh yeah, man.
Luckily,
The other
here you don't get
day,
charged to park, but I know in bigger cities you do.
I had gone. filming up there by Austin a couple of weeks back, and I was out there for like 3 days. I had to go. I went back and forth because I couldn't get a dog sitter. My girl was out of town, but I used to tow because I was like, man, like I'm gonna go over Austin. Like it was horrible, man. It's traffic. So I took the tow and I got the bill, and damn, I was like, what the world, man? It was like $67
Ooh.
for taking the toll. And it turned out like if you don't have the sticker that they sell with the sticker, they were like it would have been like 17. And I'm like, well shit, that's still a lot, you know. But I was like, well, you know what? Let me get the sticker. And it turned out the sticker was like $50 for the year, man. So I paid like $110 like just to pay that and then get that. And I was just like, damn, you know, but I was like, next time I'm not taking the toll. Sure, I'm taking the other route.
They get you coming and going, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, they do. I mean, at that time, I mean, I was like, well, shoot, I want to beat traffic, and I just, boom, hauled butt back home. But I'm when you film, you make some money, but it's not like they're paying you thousands. Like it's like for me, like if I get offered a role and I look at the number and I'm like, okay, well, it's 3 hours, 4 hours. Okay, that's 6 hours back and forth. The time away from work, gas, and I add it up and I'm like, yeah, it's not worth it, man. Like it's just
Mm.
wear and tear on the car, but it's just, depending on the project, if it's like 2, 3 days and I'll do it and I'll just, with friends that I've made throughout the past year, we rent a room and we all just stay in one room. It's like 4 or 5 of us in a room, man. Just trying to save that buck, but it helps,
Yeah.
man. But of course, but let me ask you, when it comes to sports, because I mean, you were very much involved, right? I mean, you were playing sports throughout
Yeah,
the
baseball, football, soccer. I played 7 years of soccer. Being, Italian American, the first sport I was ever introduced to was soccer.
football.
Yeah, so I played, defense most of the time. Of course, I'm 6'6". Even as a kid, I was really big.
Oh man,
So they would
okay.
always say, "Put him in goalie." Put him. I'm like, no, man, don't do that to me. Come on. So I'd play defense, and I would always be, out there with all my friends, and we played the leagues. Of course, we had the interchangeable netting shirts where they were blue, and you turn them inside out, and then they'd be yellow, depending on which side you were playing on. Which weekend, because we'd always play on Saturdays
Yeah,
in the league that we were in on the base.
yeah.
And then, of course, like I said, there was baseball, football, which I played in high school, and I wanted to go to college. My school I wanted to go to was USC, the
Oh,
Trojans here in Southern, and I wanted to play pro football at the time because you're always told as a kid you can do whatever you want. It's America, live the American dream. Well, at that time, I was stuck on music and sports, so I wanted to play pro football. And I had written to Al Davis of the Raiders, and he'd written me back, sent me a yearbook as a gift. And I was totally admired with the Raiders at the time, and I
yeah.
wanted to play for the Raiders. And they would come. The retired Oakland Raiders would come here, and they would play softball against the fire department and the police station on base.
Oh,
And so I
nice.
would actually meet Lester Hayes, Mike Haynes, a lot of the old time Raiders, and they would, sign autographs for the kids and pick us up and play with us. And, so I was totally enamored of everything Raiders. Of
Yeah,
course, being a teenager, I goofed around in high school, got bad grades, and ended up not going to USC.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like I said, I ended up going to a college nearby for digital animation. But yeah, sports was a big part of my growing up. And
man.
I was always, even though I was a big person, because by the time I was a senior in high school, I was 6'6", 450 pounds.
Damn.
But, I would be out there and I'd be running, playing baseball, football. When rollerblades got real big, because I was always a hockey fan, we
Yeah.
would strap rollerblades and we would roll around and play roller hockey.
Oh yeah.
And, if there was something to do, I mean, I come from the generation of go outside, go play, go do stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It,
Get
it
out of
wasn't
the house.
until the 90s when, PlayStation came out and video games became real big. Now kids stay inside 24/7. They think it's a punishment if you tell them to go outside and do something,
I know, man. That's wild.
which is another reason why I got into video games, because I figured, ching, 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 I'd be, rolling in cash by now. Unfortunately, that doesn't, it didn't happen, but it is what it is. I guess they say, things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm doing what I was put on this earth to do, whatever that is. So
Oh yeah, man. I mean, really, because like for me, like even with this film thing, like I told my buddy, I said, man, I want to do this as long as possible. I said, if it's meant that, for that if it's written that I'm going to be working behind the scenes, then I'll do that. I said, that's fine. I just want to be involved. If I'm going to be the camera guy or the gaffer or, not in front of the camera, I said, I'd be okay with that too. I said, but, right now, like, I mean, the fact that I'm getting, auditions and getting castings and I'm, they're inviting me out there. I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. Like, why not? Like I said, I mean, it pays and, it's just, I mean, it's fun. Go network, meet new people, meet new actors, new TPs. I mean,
networking is big because you might get your foot in the door right now by doing the acting, but it may come to find out in a year or two what you're really meant to do is to be a director
yeah, no, yeah. And that's
or
one of my
a
buddies.
script writer or something like that.
We were talking about that the other day. I don't think I'd be able to write though. That's I'll leave that up to you. For me, but I've actually directed my friend's short film. Like we did like 2 days of shooting and or three actually, but we finished it off and it was a good experience, man. Like I had fun. I mean, I've always thought I had a knife for camera because I used to do photography, not professionally, but I had bought a nice Nikon back in the day, and I used to do sports photography. So I used to cover fights and boxing, and
That's
so
oddly enough, that's funny you bring that up. That was another thing I did in college is I took a photography course because I wanted to be one of those guys at the if I couldn't play football, I at least wanted to be on the sideline with those Nike cameras with the big Canon Lenons
yeah.
and take photos and then sell the photos to the sports cards companies, and they can make the sports cards out of the pictures that I took.
No,
So
no, for
yeah,
sure.
are you sure we're not brothers? We
I
sound a
know,
lot alike.
probably, man. We just became best friends, man. We're gonna start our own sports outlet and go out there and cover sports all around. But you know what though? I always tell people this because like me doing photography, like I actually had photos published like in international MMA magazines.
Really?
I did,
Wow.
dude. Like I had a
Congratulations.
fighter. Thank you, thank you. This was like years back, but I always tell people, I'm like, man, I make stuff happen, man. And it was all because I used to network. I used to talk to everybody. I used to manage fighters. So I was always talking to promoters and magazines, trying to get them interviews. Here, I have worked for one local magazine, and then I picked up two newsletters. But they were like, hey, the San Antonio Scorpions, our soccer team at the time, they're like, they're gonna play. Can you make it out there? And I'm like, yeah, and the Spurs, can you make it? And I'm like, yeah, so I'm there like courtside, and I'm thinking like, man, and I covered like the UFC. I've been case side for the UFC. I've been case side for Bellator. I mean, but I've had pictures like published like in magazines. I had a fighter that's in Corpus, female, um, and she used it for her book. She wrote a book and she used my photo for the cover. And I was like, she asked me, and I was like, yeah, man. Like I was like, cool, it's privileged, man. But and I've had friends that are like professional photographers, and they're like, man, I can't even sell nothing, man. And I was like, bro, like it's network. Like if people don't know you or don't see you, I mean, how are they supposed to know you're doing what you're doing? Because
Yeah.
I talk to everybody, and that's kind of why I started doing the podcast. Because I was like, man, you know what? I'm nosy. I want to know what's going on.
And I'm really bad at public speaking, so
I've
it's
done
hard to
it.
sell yourself.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's for me. Yes. Like as much as I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go and just promote what I'm doing. I can't do it. Like I've been there, and I'm like, I just feel like I feel like I'm bragging. I don't know. It's just weird. So, but I can promote the heck out of everything else. Like the promotions, the fights, the gear, you know, um, I've done like where I'm at a fight and they're like, hey man, you want to interview so and so, and I'm like, yeah, let me know when. And they're like, well, right now, and I'm like, okay, yeah, and so I go and knock it out. One of them, there was a UFC fighter, um, and she was one of the fighters from their team were fighting, and they were like, "Hey, you want to interview?" And I was like, "Dude, as a matter of fact, I was going to interview her. I have questions." And they were like, "Yeah, man, can you do it during intermission, man? Will it take like 20 minutes?" And I'm like, I don't know. We'll see." Because I was like, "Dude, like." And so we're right there in the middle of the cage, and this was for a regional fight, but I knocked it out, man. And the thing I'll say this: I had a friend of mine long time ago, man, and she told me, she said, you know what? When you do public speaking, always make friends with somebody there, or if you know somebody there, and when you're talking, say like, "Oh, hey, Joe knows what I'm talking about," and everybody turns to that guy and they laugh. After that, he said, "Man, no pressure." And dude, it works like a charm, bro. Like I do that all the time. And like I did that with the fights because I was like, hey, you're in the UFC. And I said, hey, I got my buddy so and so over here. I said, he's a contender. I said, hey, how's it going, man? And he's all like, and people are like clapping, and you know what I mean. So after I did that, like I chilled out and I just got comfortable, man. But it works like a charm.
Cool. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, man, use it, brother, use it. But man, but of course, that's about this publication. It's going to be my Nightmare Press and the continuation. What is it about, bro? Tell us.
Basically, it's about a kid who gets molested by his uncle as a small child. And growing up, as usual, it messes him up. So he's bad in school. He doesn't have a job. So when he gets older, his father, who, of course, it was the uncle. So the father, it's his brother. So every time he sees the kid, it brings the anger up. And instead of being a better man, he takes the anger out on the child. So when
Oh,
the kid's a
wow.
teenager, he kicks the kid out of the house.
Yeah.
Well, the kid gets into a car wreck and he ends up surviving. And when in the hospital, he notices all of a sudden he can see things. He doesn't know what he's seeing, but he knows it's something strange. And so, without a job, getting kicked out of the house, he needs to find a job. So he ends up walking the streets, and he sees this private investigator office. So he goes in to try and get a job. And there's a serial killer in town, and the guy who runs the private eye is a Iraq war vet who's struggling with PTSD, and he sees the young kid, acting kind of strange. So he takes the kid in, and while questioning him, he thinks he's also a vet with PTSD because he's acting kind of strange. So he mentors him, and he finds out later he's not a vet with PTSD. Well, he has PTSD, but it's from being
Yeah, man.
molested, not because of the war, but because there's a serial killer. He uses him, and he finds out when he touches dead bodies, he gets a vision of how the person was killed.
Ooh, okay,
And
okay.
so he uses him as a tool to try and find the serial killer who's killing women.
Wow.
And it goes on from there. There's more stuff too. I don't want to give everything away, but
No, 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 for sure, man. And of course, I mean, for this publication, you're still in the works, right? So it'll be out soon.
yeah. I've got to pay the cover artist. Usually the group I'm with, Nightmare Press, they will do their own covers, but the last book I had, I never really got a choice on what the cover was. So for once, I wanted to pay a cover artist, get something that I thought was really cool. And once the second editing is done, we'll put everything together and we'll put it out. So it shouldn't be very long.
Nice, bro. No, no, for sure, man. I mean, I always tell people because for me, like I'm big on physical media. I mean, I still got VHS. I still got, I got books. I have a few books, and I did the mistake of doing digital, and I can't. It's just like I used to do delivery. I used to be a delivery driver for Big Lots, right? A couple years back before they went under, and I had my GPS, but it's like I used it for mostly for that, and it's like when people would tell me like, oh, watch this video or do this, and I'm like, there was so much going on my phone that I was like, man, I can't. And that's the same thing with reading a digital book, man. I get distracted. There's so much stuff popping up and notifications, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just get an actual physical book, sit
Yeah,
down
because I'm
there,
I'm kind of
read it.
torn on that because something physical, like you said, that's something you can hold in your hand. It's paper, it's what you're used to, and you could always revert back to it. Whereas something electronical, something could go wrong. Like with my Kindle, something went wrong and it won't turn on anymore. So
Oh,
I basically, I guess, lost everything. Plus, there's people that when I advertised on Facebook when my first book came out, they only wanted a Kindle because they were said, "Oh, you're killing trees by doing physical media. Don't buy paperback. There's save the trees. I only want electronical." And I said, "Well," and I don't know why my first publisher wouldn't do this. They wouldn't do a Kindle version.
yeah.
They would only do physical media, and that's it. And so then a lot of people got upset and were turned off by me and wouldn't read my book because they couldn't get a Kindle version. And I said, I'm sorry, it's not my choice. I didn't choose to do that. And so either way you choose, you're not going to make somebody happy. Whereas I want to make people happy all the time.
Oh yeah, and it's it's one of those, like, I mean, with everything you do in life, I mean, there's somebody that's going to be upset about it, and it's like my mindset is like, you know what, I'm gonna do it because regardless, it's gonna piss somebody off, and I can't control people's feelings, man. I mean, if they feel a
Yeah.
certain way about something I do, then that's on them. It's personal. I got nothing to do with it. But and not that I'm out there like trying to bash anybody or post anything, but it's just something that I work on a certain way that I do it or whatever. It's just one of those things. But yeah, my man, of course, bro. I mean, I know I told you we're gonna bring you on here, man, and I would love to bring you back, bro. I mean, I know there's a lot more that we can talk about. We can probably get an hour out of this, but but my man, when it comes to the book, I mean, for those that are watching, of course, are going to be watching, I mean, they can go through Nightmare Press
Yeah.
and
Nightmare Press. It's called the Continuance. Joseph J. Battaglia. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I
They
got to
can follow me on Facebook. They can follow Nightmare Press on Facebook. We're very easy to find.
And let me ask you, because I chopped up your last name. How would you pronounce my last name?
What is your last name?
It's Gary.
Gary or
Close enough.
close?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to pronounce it Garay.
Garay?
It is Spanish French. I mean,
Oh, okay.
my ancestries, my grandpa, from France to Mexico to here in Texas, it's documented. But it's my older brothers, my mom used to pronounce it Garay, and I used to.
Garay, okay.
I didn't like pronouncing it Garay because they would always spell it Gray, like the color gray. And so every time I would say Garay, they're like, "What? How do you spell it?" And I would tell them, and they spell it correctly. So it's just
I noticed that happens a lot in Texas, especially South Texas, the French and Hispanic mixture.
Yeah.
Because I have friends that live in Victoria, Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the last name is Revere, but they would say Riviera with the A at the end. And after a while, they took the A off, but they said it was from a French background.
Yeah.
And I was kind of shocked that there would be that much French down there.
Yeah, because ours it was Garai, and then throughout the years, like after they settled here in Texas, I would assume. I mean, they changed it to a Y. So
Okay.
who knows, But yeah, it's just I guess that they couldn't pronounce it, or so something happened. But yeah, but nonetheless, I mean, we're here. We're both, you're in California. I'm here in Texas, man. But we're doing what we're doing. But
And we're Italian Sicilians, so.
Oh yeah. But man, I appreciate you. Thank you for jumping on here, man. Like I said, I mean, I'll definitely bring you back, and once the book is out, I'm definitely going to be ordering. I'm going to be reading, and I'll give you an honest review. And
I'll see if I can. That's the only way I'll learn is if people give me an honest review.
No, yeah, and I was going to say I'll wait up for the video game format, but till then, I'll come on the book, man.
All right, thank you very much. Anytime.
Not a problem. Don't hang up yet, though, man. Everybody out there, of course, once again, Spidey here, Coming Soon Podcast.